It is completely incredible. And again, there are a lot of guys that are still on these shows that I watch them from time to time, making these rosy forecasts, talking like as if they actually know what they're talking about. And their memories are so short. They can't remember 2 years ago when they were saying the exact same thing 3 years ago when we were on the cusp of the biggest financial collapse that we've had thus far. Of course, the next one that's coming is going to be worse. You know, and they don't even remember how wrong they got it. Even Ben Bernanke even warned in recent testimony in Congress that the deficits are unsustainable. Well, of course they're unsustainable, and he's helping to make it all possible. But when you hear people talk about unsustainable, very few people understand what that means. What that means is that we can't sell our bonds, and that the whole thing's going to fall apart. What it means is that either we're going to have to slash spending across the board on government programs, we're going to have to default on the debt and tell people that we're not going to pay, or we're going to print tremendous amounts of money to fund our spending, and we're going to destroy the currency and unleash runaway inflation. And all this is coming soon. This is not way in the future. This is here right now. People who think, oh, we're sticking these debts on our children. The children aren't going to pay these debts. These debts will be long repudiated before our kids get old enough to have jobs. And we'll repudiate it through default or through inflation. Those are the only ways we can do it. But it's going to happen. Look, it's happening before our eyes. Look at the problems Greece has had. It's moving up the food chain. Now they're focusing on the UK, the United Kingdom, and their problems. And the pound is under pressure. It's not going to be long before their sights are set on the United States. We are the world's biggest offender here, right? All the other countries aren't going to be held to task for their out-of-control spending and their big deficits, and somehow the United States is going to get a pass even though we're a bigger offender than everybody else? Not a chance. This all is going to unfold. It's unfolding before our eyes. If you look at the recent strength in the price of gold, gold looks really strong to me. It's making, obviously, new record highs in terms of pound sterling, in terms of euro, but it's back on the rise in terms of dollars. Gold today, back over 1,100 in the spot market. We're closing in on the high from January 11th, which is not too far above. We take that high out maybe this week. We'll be at a new high for the calendar year, challenging the all-time highs from December of '09, I think soon. If we made a record high in pounds and in euros, we're going to make a record high in dollars, I think, soon. Meanwhile, look at oil. Oil is telling you that there's inflation, that money is losing value. Oil prices are back up at $81 a barrel. Oil is looking very strong to me. And, of course, other currencies that are commodity-based. The Canadian dollar is very close to a new 52-week high. Australian dollar, not too far behind. So those commodity-linked currencies are extremely strong. They're strong against the euro and the pound, obviously, as well. But they're strong against the dollar. I think something could happen almost any day. A big move up in gold, a big return down. The dollar index has gotten up around the 81 level. Ran into a lot of resistance up above 80. We're right now bang on 80. We traded below 80 for a while late in the day today. We managed to close pretty much spot on the 80 level on the cash dollar index. But I think this could roll over and roll over quickly. There was one senator, Bunning, who, was trying to stop the extension of unemployment benefits on the basis of the fact that we didn't have the money. Where was the money coming from to just pay more unemployment benefits? He wanted to force Congress to cut spending on something to make room for the unemployment. And, of course, Congress would have none of it. They didn't want any spending cuts. They just wanted to pay unemployment benefits whether we were broke or not. And this is the attitude that has to end. We're seeing this conflict right now in Greece between the public employees unions who refuse to accept cuts, despite the fact that the country that's paying them is broke. The same thing is going to happen here. Look, the U.S. government is paying federal workers extraordinary, exorbitant wages that we can't afford. We're making payments on entitlements. We don't have the money. We are broke. We are going to have the same problems. Either the federal government is going to face up to the fact that it overpromised and can't deliver and has to cut spending, or it's going to pretend that it can keep its promises with printing press money, and then it's all going to hit the fan. And as I said just a few minutes ago, this is not going to play out in the future. This is playing out, I think, right now before our eyes. The whole process of the unraveling of this phony monetary system, our phony economy, began in 2008. That wasn't the end of the crisis. That was the beginning of the crisis. The lion's share of the crisis, as I've been saying, is still in front of us. It's got a long way to play out. People who think, they keep talking about a recovery. We're not recovering. We haven't even begun to recover. We're getting sicker by the day. The problems are compounding. The government is doing everything possible to make the situation worse. In fact, if you wanted to script it, if you wanted to lay out a formula of what the government could do to completely destroy what's left of our economy, they are doing it exactly the way you would script it. To a T, they haven't missed the trick, including the fact that today Barack Obama again is going to try to slam and force feed his health care monstrosity through the Congress. Of course, he threw the Republicans, or a couple of Republicans, a couple of meaningless bones, so he can get a few of these rhino Republicans to sign on to this thing and call it a bipartisan compromise. The only thing that's compromised in this bill is the Constitution, is common sense, is economics, it's the national interest. That's what's getting compromised. This is a socialist program, pure and simple, that is going to drive the cost of health care even higher. The irony of the whole thing is the country might be broke before any of it actually sees the light of day. And when they write the history books about this particular time period, that irony will not be lost. That here we are on the verge of complete collapse, yet we thought we can afford this, right? That's how clueless our leaders are. When they should be slashing government spending because we're broke, they're about to vote for a huge increase in government spending when we're already spending 60 cents for every dollar we collect in taxes, and it's going out of control. Because this whole idea about ever increasing unemployment benefits, how long can we do that? Because the number of unemployed is going to keep growing. Because the more the government spends, the weaker the economy gets, the more jobs they destroy. And now they have more people who are unemployed, so we want to spend even more money to give them benefits, and every time we do that, we send more people to the unemployment line. It is a self-perpetuating spiral that ends in complete disaster. And, we have to understand that at the core of this system is a false, a fraudulent monetary system. And people have to do something to protect themselves. Remember, before 1971, if somebody had, $100,000 in the bank, right? If you had $100,000 in an American bank, what did you have? You had something real. You actually had you actually had close to 3,000 ounces of gold, 2,857 to be precise. You had something real. You actually had gold. What do you have now? You don't have anything. You got a piece of paper. What's it worth? Who knows? It's worth what you can get for it. And what if you can't get anything for it? Then it's not worth anything. So people have to understand, when you had a bank account, years ago, you had real money. Now you've got nothing. If you want real money, you got to go out and buy it. You got to convert them. So anyway, and if you have a broker at Europe Pacific Capital that you're working with, look, the brokers can also help you with your Perth Mint. Also on the stocks, I'm not as sure short term. The stocks can go either way.